In this tutorial, I'm gonna explain the crocheting method of this shirt, skipping the basics, because you know everyone knows how to do this one. It's a chain, a double crochet stitch, and you don't need more of these. So I'm not gonna explain the stitches, I'm gonna explain the method. So for this method, we're gonna be using a t-shirt that fits you well, that you like, of your size. As you see, I already have this panel done. What is this? This is just a filet mesh. This amount of squares depends on your size, because see, we are freehanding here. I'm not giving you the exact amount of stitches because you don't need it. We are all different. We all need different sizes. So how do you know how many squares of those filet mesh squares do you need? You just grab your t-shirt and look at the neckline, because I'm trying to simplify the neckline method. And see, if we kind of break it into pieces, we see that this part of a neckline is straight and then the line kind of goes up. So this golden panel should be as wide as this flat part. So I just want to simplify the shape and make a rectangular. How long should it be? It really depends on you. Since I'm using my scrap yarns, I'm not sure how much yarn I have left. I just left some here to make another panel from the yarns that I have left. That's, you know, the basic idea of freehanding and of using up the scraps that you have. Okay, so first start with this panel. This panel is very simple. You have your amount of stitches, which is, you just count, make a chain like it should be. See, you have your t-shirt, like this is the width of your panel, and just count how many stitches you will have. So those chains you have, and then 3 more chains to start the foundation row. And the mesh fillet is, in this case, chain 1, double crochet stitch, chain 1, double crochet stitch, and you skip these, okay, at the foundation chain. So again, foundation chain as many stitches as you need, then 1, 2, 3 chains, then 1 more chain, skip 1, double crochet 1, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet 1, skip 1, and so on and so forth until you reach the end of the row. Again, the amount of squares, you will have your own amount of squares. So in my case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 squares. You might have 8 or 12, depending on how what's your size and how thick is your thread. And then the next row is chain 1, 2, 3, and 1. Skip 1, double crochet 1, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, and so on and so forth. So you have those 10. In my case, 10 squares. In your case, you will have your own. And then again, chain 3 plus 1, and so on. So use this filet mesh pattern. In this pattern, you just continue crocheting this panel, and it should be as long as you want. In my case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 36 rows. Okay, now I need to make a rectangular from the main yarn. How long should it be? How wide should it be? Well, how long? It really depends on your golden part. So it should be as long as this gold panel is. And how wide should it be? In this case, I took my ruler, I took my t-shirt, and I kind of drew this line. It can be as wide as your t-shirt, but again, being limited with my yarn, I decided to leave this part untouched. I will be building it up with different yarn when I'm done with this panel. So I just took my ruler and decided that my main part panel will be maybe 3 centimeters less wide than my actual t-shirt. If you do not want that side panel, you can just go ahead and make it as wide as the entire t-shirt is, and in this case we will simplify in this line. So I'm not making the armholes. My armholes will be straight, just straight. And see, a little spoiler, this is where my shoulder line will start forming, right about here. So I'm kind of simplifying my t-shirt, ignoring these armholes, but I'm gonna respect this line and this line, and it's still gonna be comfortable. I promise. I've done that before. Now, a very important part here that, you know, I can't stress enough how important that is. How did I figure out how many rows I need here? Oh, by the way, the pattern. The pattern for this panel is probably the simplest that even exists. So you have your foundation chain, and your foundation chain equals this width. So from here to here, you just cast on your foundation chain. Okay, and if you do not need that side panel, you just make your foundation chain a little bit wider. Okay, so from here to here, and then crochet from top or from bottom to top. And how many stitches? It really depends on your size. In my case, I had 75 stitches. And then you follow this chart. So foundation chain is done with your own amount of chains, and then chain 1, 2, 3 to go to the first level, to the first row, and then chain double crochet stitches into each chain, and then 1, 2, 3 to go up, and then double crochet stitches. When you reach the end of the row, 1, 2, 3. And double crochet stitches. I assume you know how to do that. Okay, and then you go ahead and crochet the whole panel and stop where this panel stops, where the golden panel stops. Now, the thing I'm gonna be talking about right now is probably even more important than crocheting itself, and it's blocking. See, this part is made from sequin yarn. I have 2 threads here, cotton thread with sequins and polyester thread with sequins, and I used 2mm crochet hook for this part. This part is made from viscose plus cotton, and I used 1 and 6mm crochet hook for this one, which means these are made from different materials, and as we know, different materials behave differently. Cotton shrinks, viscose stretches. So how do I know how much this one will stretch and how much this will shrink? In order to figure out, I need to do blocking maybe a couple more times than usually. So when I finish this part, I need to wash it, leave it be for a couple of days, okay? And then the same thing should happen to this one. It should stay on your table for a couple of days so that it has the final form. And you see in this shot I'm showing you one part is blocked here and another part is not blocked here. See the difference? They have the same amount of stitches, the same width, the same length, the same amount of rows. See how different they are, because one is blocked and another is not blocked, and we need to kind of make this one and this one of the same length. Okay, so in my case here I have 36 rows and here I have 57 rows. So before we move to the next part, make sure you block it. And there's another trick. What I would do normally when I crochet it, you know, I cannot finish the whole thing during one day, I would leave this guy just hanging like this, somehow vertically. Why is that? Because this is how the panel will show its whole potential. While you're crocheting, you just hang it and it will stretch as much as it stretches. Same here. I would leave it hanging overnight or maybe for a couple of days so that you have the final situation, okay, and you see what's going on with the material. So it's very important, very, very important. Now it's time to fix these two pieces and make just one piece. Usually when we have those different panels in, like, let's say a granny square blanket or something like that, we would just use a crochet hook and use a stitch, like a half crochet stitch, to fix these two together. Can we do it now? No, because I cannot use my crochet hook. See? So this one is as long as 1.5 stitches here. So I just cannot figure out how to do that with a crochet hook. And this is why I'm gonna use my needle. And I grabbed some silk thread. It can be something very neutral. This is probably the one that matches both colors, and I'm gonna fix those together just with a needle. Now, before I move on with sewing, I just lay those two parts flat and fix some pins here so that I make sure that both panels are of the same size and it doesn't go anywhere when I start sewing. So this is what I have. I have pins all the way down to the bottom. Take out my pin. I have a little knot here. Just start fixing two parts together very, very carefully. See, I kind of go in the middle of the stitch, like in between fibers. So I grab kind of half of a golden stitch and half of a top stitch and go in the middle of the stitch. I grab half of this stitch, I mean part of this stitch, okay, because they're not equal, they're not half by half. take out the pin. Now, it's not the most sophisticated stitch in the world. However, see, it's invisible. It's invisible here. You cannot see it. Now, what about the sequins? When you bump into the sequin, you just make sure you grab it like this and continue sewing. And that's the whole idea of fixing those guys together.